You saw in the last video how you can avoid editing a child theme that's part of a framework like Genesis by adding CSS to a plugin instead of editing the child theme's style sheet. What if you need to make edits or customizations that require adding code to the functions.php file, but you still want to avoid altering the child theme? In this video, we'll explore two options for adding code that would go into the functions.php file, but that let you add the code into a plugin instead. For this exercise, since I'm not going to allow you to change the code or possibly break the multi-site installation at wpdevcourse.com where your sandbox is, I'm going to have you open MAMP again, start your servers up, and go to your local development environment to play with these two plugins. I'm going to the one I called live-site, and I'm going to the login page. Go ahead and do this yourself. Now that we have the dashboard open, let's go to Plugins, Add New, and let's just search for code snippets. That's a common word for pieces of code that we might copy and paste and alter for our own purposes inside of a CSS file, a functions.php file, or even inside of a plugin. The first one that comes up in the list, actually called Code Snippets, is a good one that I've used several times. I can see that it's got more than 20,000 active installs. It's been updated recently, and I know that it works. So click Install Now, and go ahead and activate the plugin. Now that we have Code Snippets activated, you can click Manage under the plugin page itself, or you can go over here to Snippets and click Manage. Now, we don't have any snippets at this time, and I can dismiss the survey if I like. So you could go over here to the Add New button, or let's take a look at the settings first. You can look through the general settings, but I'll generally leave these at the defaults. You can look at, because it'll show you syntax highlighting inside of the code area. In the editor, you can decide what size you want your tabs, how many spaces you want each block to be indented, and however you prefer. Now, this Code Snippets plugin is designed to take code that is PHP code meant to go in functions.php of a theme, but not CSS or style sheet code that you'd put somewhere else. In that case, we could use the simple custom CSS plugin that we used in the last video alongside this one. Let's try to make some edits somewhere that would require an edit to the functions.php file. Perhaps on the login page. Let's change the WordPress logo on the login page to our own logo and make it click to the home page of the website instead of to the wordpress.org website. Now, I'll just start by creating a new snippet called login logo, and I'll go down and save it for now with just its name. Great. Now I've got to find the code necessary and some advice perhaps on changing the login page logo. I've gone over to Google and I searched for WordPress replace login page logo. The first thing that came up was a page in the WordPress codex called Customizing the Login Form. That looks like it's exactly what I want. And it's got some information about the login form and how it works. Here's what it looks like, and it's this W logo that I'd like to replace with a custom logo and have that link to my own homepage instead of to the wordpress.org homepage. So I'm looking for a code snippet that I can use. Customizing the login, changing the login logo. Great. And there's a little advice here, and I've got a function, a piece of PHP code designed to go in the functions.php file of the active theme. And you can see that the advice is to upload a new image under a folder called images with your active theme files. Yes, in a directory named images. So I know I'm going to have to do a few things here, and follow along with me in your own site. I'm going to first select this entire block of code and hit Control-C to copy it. And I'm going to bring it in to the code editing window inside of my Snippets plugin. I'm under my login logo snippet, and I've placed that there. I'm going to go ahead and call it, new logo, new-logo.png, and it's in the images file. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and save that. And now I can expect that if that's working, it didn't break the website, which is good. I think that if I would have removed this semicolon like we did in a previous video, we could have broken the site. In that case, we might have to go in just via FTP or in our local environment here and disable the plugin. And we'll go over a couple steps on how to retrieve our code snippets if we happen to break the site using this plugin. For now, I'm going to go with that. I'm going to remember that my file name needs to be new-logo, newlogo.ping. And I'm going to go back to the WordPress page at wordpress.org and look at some other advice that I'm given here. I know there was a certain size of the logo. The size of your logo should be 80 by 80, although we can change this with custom CSS if we want to, but I'll make an 80 by 80 pixel image to use as this logo as a next step. So if I open Photoshop, and now I'm going to again make a new file. This time I'm going to do it 80 by 80. There's the size of that little WordPress logo. Maybe I'll give it a black background as well. And again, it's easy to make up some quick versions of logos using a font. Let's see, I'll just choose a random font here. My lettering is white. Can use a capital F. And let's make that a little bit bigger. It's Fireweed Photography, right? I'll do an FW. Nice. Alright, so remember, I have to save this as a ping. First, again, I'll save it right here under, actually this is in my live site. So I'm going to go to my desktop and save this image under my live site folder. There we go. And I will call it new logo. But this is a Photoshop document that I can go back and edit if I need to. Now I have to go up into File, Save for Web and Devices. And I can save it as a ping file. Again, I'll save it in live site, new logo, and it's going to be a .ping. Great, now that I've got that saved, if the site were live on the internet, I would need to use FTP to make the file transfer into the images folder of my themes area, my themes folder. But I'm going to use Windows Explorer to transfer that file from the desktop under live site. There it is, the new logo.ping, over to the file structure of the site I'm working on. It's in the MAMP folder in htdocs. This one's called live site. And I do need to bring this into my themes, my active themes folder. So I am still using the Affinity wp-com-child02. And I'm going to create a new directory, a new folder called images, as the WordPress site directed me to do. And I'll place this, I'm going to hold Control to copy it into that folder. Now back at my login logo snippet, I can verify that that's the location of the image. And to test it, I'm just going to go ahead and log out. And it should appear with the new logo on the login page. I know why that didn't work. Let me log right back in again. And there's kind of a failsafe. If you're working with your code snippets and you're not quite finished, it doesn't automatically activate the snippets that you have. You need to actually activate each snippet when you're sure that it's done. And so I just need to click Activate, and that should give me an activation message. Snippet activated. Now I should be able to log out and check that my logo is there. Great. It's still linking to the WordPress.org website though. Let's go in here and we can see what we need to do to add the link. I just need to add this code snippet and paste it below the previous. Obviously it's not in functions.php but in our code snippets plugin. So if I take this whole thing and I'll just hit Control C to copy, I'll log back in and I'm going to go to code snippets and manage that code snippet. And I'll make a change to it. Great, let me just I'll hit 2 enters and hit Control V. If I look at the code, I can see that it's going to return the home URL, so that'll be the regular URL for my website here, live-site. And also the title for when you roll over the icon or the logo, I want that to actually say the name of the website. Now, let me go to the bottom and I'll save changes. Now, there's one more thing we should look at under each code snippet. Near the bottom where we are saving our changes, there's actually a description and some tags we can use if we're using a lot of snippets and we want to keep them organized. The scope of the snippet is either to run it everywhere, only run it in the administration area, or only run it on the site front end. In fact, the login page is considered to be on the front end and it's kind of part of the administration area, so I'll keep the scope to run everywhere and save changes. Okay, let's go and log out, and that way we'll look at the login page and see what our snippet has done. There's the logo, looking good. If I roll over it, I can see that it clicks to my site homepage, and the little tooltip, which is the site title or the link title, is Fireweed Photography. So if I click it, it will open the site. Nice. Now, I mentioned kind of a fail-safe that the plugin offers that we should look at as a final exploration of this Code Snippets plugin. I might just go to the plugins page at wordpress.org and look it up here to get all the information about the plugin. I'll just log in, although I don't really need to be logged in. But I'll look up the Code Snippets plugin. There it is, and let's open it up. And one thing that I've seen, let's see, I think it's under the installation, or is it under the FAQ? It is. Help, I just activated a snippet and my whole site broke. Well, you can actually deactivate snippets by defining a line inside the wp-config.php file where it brings Code Snippets plugin into a safe mode where you can look at the code for the snippets and deactivate ones or change them if you need to. And that's a way that you can get out of any kind of problems without having to deactivate the plugin and potentially have to reinstall it later or go into the database and find the snippets that broke the site. Well, that about covers the Code Snippets plugin. What if you're on Genesis? There's actually a Genesis wpclips.net has some free plugins that do a similar thing to the Code Snippets, but they're designed to work with Genesis. They hold clips including CSS and functions.php edits inside of a Genesis-powered website. It works very similarly to Code Snippets, but is designed to work with Genesis-powered themes. In this video, you went back to your local development environment to install a plugin called Code Snippets, which gives you a place to put PHP code outside of the active theme or child theme. You customized the login page by finding a code snippet at wordpress.org and replaced the logo with one of your own and linked it to the homepage of your site. You also learned about WP Clips, available at wpclips.net, a similar plugin for the Genesis framework. In the next chapter, you'll learn about premium plugins and how to choose free and premium plugins from commercial developers or from the free WordPress plugin repository. See you there.